if you follow the Indian food business scene, you're probably going to love this episode. Alright, we'll get started. Now, if you've been roaming about the streets near you, you would have seen these green-looking small restaurants popping up all around. What if I told you that India's fastest growing brand is not an apparel or beauty, but it's a 1,000 crore food startup? This, LaPino'z, a startup that was literally unknown a decade ago, is now famous for its giant pizza slices. When we started researching about them, it was clear that there was no way they could be challenging the supremacy of Dominos and Pizza Hut, right? But the more we dug in, the clearer it got. See, they're not only fighting Dominos or Pizza Hut, they're taking on the entire quick service food industry. Let me tell you how a homegrown pizza brand from Chandigarh that began 16 years after Dominos raised zero money, but is secretly running Dominos out of business. Let's dig in. The year is 2011. India is growing, we've just won the World Cup, and people are starting to spend a little more to enjoy the leisures of life. Domino's is all the rage and controls a massive 54% of the market share, followed by Pizza Hut and then Papa John's. But there's this man, Sanam Kapoor, who's just left his stable job at HCL to start something interesting of his own. And instead of going with a hot tech company, he starts a tiny 120 square feet pizzeria called Pinocchio. Mind you, he has no prior knowledge or experience of culinary or the food industry. And starting a pizza business in an industry worth 13,000 crores, dominated already by international players, hardly seemed logical. But Sun was onto something. You see, back in the day, pizza was a high-class thing, and Domino's and Pizza Hut were only serving at 5-star hotels. Later, of course, when they launched the 30-minute delivery thing, they decided to appeal to a broad mass and started growing at a CAGR of 46%. I mean, Domino's scaled from 60 stores in 2010 to more than 400 by 2011 itself. But Sanam sensed a gap here. He didn't see a pizza brand that catered to the taste preferences of the Indian population. And there was his aha moment. The idea was to create an affluent Indian brand while working on the look and feel of an authentic Italian establishment. That's where Pinocchio was rebranded to a more inspiring LaPino'z, which literally means giant pizza slice in Italian, by the way. The idea was, for sure, to do something different, but create a rich, aspirational experience. You see, giant pizza slices are the thing in the West. You see New York, London, you get big pizza slices. And with this giant pizza slice, Sanam focused on creating a menu that combined the familiarity of Indian flavors with the novelty of pizza. But Sanam was clearly crazy. Giants like Domino's owned the 1,000 crore pizza market. Restaurants were not scalable. VCs wouldn't even look at him. And as expected, LaPino'z struggled in its first few years. But people were still loving the localized taste, and that's when the light bulb went off. See, India's QSR space is very interesting. Take the biggest brands, Wow Momo, McDonald's, Dominos. You'll see one common theme across all of their offerings. See it yet? Don't worry, we'll dig into this. See, by 2012, Sanam was taking everything slowly to expand his business. He did everything himself, from branding to designing the stores, developing recipes, and making the whole pizza from scratch with fresh ingredients. But the struggle to go beyond one restaurant was real in his early stages. And when he finally did open a second store, he did it in Mohali, but faced challenges due to a diverse customer base. Now the learning was simple. He had to diversify his taste to cater to different customer preferences. If you really think about it, when you run a QSR business, you're not only competing with your food competitor chains, you're competing with the roadside snack shops, chai walas and mithai shops. Makes sense, right? Your consumer has one mouth and they think about quick snacks mostly during the evening time. And if you do want to take them away from their normal ordering habit at these shops, at a local samosa wala, you can't expect them to suddenly adopt a whole new different taste. And that is where Sanam started to Indianize his pizzas. Something other giants have done all along. Think tandoori momos by Wow Momo or Mekalu Tikki by McDonald's. Localization in the food business is the key. I mean, Mekalu Tikki made McD an overnight sensation, so you get it. Now, as a homegrown brand, Sanam had an advantage in understanding the user and making decisions fast and quickly, right? That's why LaPino'z went deeper and offered giant pizza to the community without onions, mushrooms, or garlic. This is the core base to solving for your user. Giant offerings not only allowed a whole different market for LaPino'z, right, but also a different age group. Imagine your grandparents and uncle and aunts who ate garlic and onion. Now, it wasn't a problem for them anymore. They also went a little berserk with tandoori and makhani flavors. I mean, do whatever sails your boat, right? But this was the push they needed. So they crossed 50 outlets by 2000. But solving for demand and diversifying the menu was only one core thing to solve. But another is price. Everything was going well, but the food category suffered massively during 2012 to 2015 as the products offered like pizzas and burgers were expensive compared to other available options. The economy in general was under pressure and companies could not offer better price points to attract new customers, which resulted in super low volumes. And this is not new. The Indian consumer has always been cost conscious and cares for the value of money while ordering or eating out. Plus, there's a very set target customer base for QSR restaurants, youngsters, because they like to experiment with new cuisines. Now, this was a reality check for the QSR industry, and suddenly the menus started becoming cheaper. Players like Jubilant Foodworks, who run Dominos in India, went from pizza to other items like a veg parcel having a starting price of 39 rupees compared to their pizzas which were in the range of 400 to 500. Pizza Hut launched a range of fun pizzas at a price point of 79. A price war is intense with players defining the target audience's preferences and their willingness to spend. Today, all pizza prices have reduced, with Domino's selling at the lowest price point of 59, followed by LaPino'z, Pizza Hut, Smoking Joe's, and so on. At the very base of it, these small priced items are nothing but an acquisition hook. It's funny because if a GrowthX member ran these QSR businesses, this would literally be the first thing that they would implement. I mean, we literally teach user acquisition at the first week of the GrowthX learning experience. Now, if you're interested in applying for membership so you can learn the A to Z of growth, check the link in the comments. Now see, the idea with an acquisition hook is simple. These low-priced items help these brands in acquiring new customers and getting them into their ecosystem. Then it's the brand's job to start moving them to more premium offerings. For example, think how Mac Aloo Tikki might have been the first burger you would have had at McD because it was a safer option, right? But now your go-to might be the Maharaja Mac, which is 4x the cost of the Mac Aloo Tikki. The idea is simple. Give people a feeler of your product and then slowly move them along your more premium offerings. Alright, so customer acquisition solved. But this still didn't solve for LaPino'z expansion. The year is 2016 and it feels right for QSRs to come and disrupt the industry. Because the food services industry is valued at 3.1 lakh crores and one of the fastest growing segments are the QSRs, which are growing at a 22% CAGR. So enter the good old franchising model. See, the only way most QSRs have ever grown is via its franchisee model. And it all looked really good on paper, but the ground reality was extremely different. KFC went from 395 outlets in 2014 to 315 outlets in 2016. Almost all of them had negative EBITDA and profits had come down. And the reason was simple. 80% of the QSR chains were competing for the same consumer based in metro cities. Plus, the newly minted Swiggy and Zomato brought more options to people, making life tough for physical QSR outlets. Sanam knew that he had to tread a very thin line here, and he decided to learn from McDonald's. He focused on rapid expansion, but constantly tapped into local market knowledge, reduced overheads and costs, boosted his brand loyalty, and fostered continuous innovation. What that means is, unlike Domino's where bases are transferred to outlets from central distribution centers, LaPino'z allowed its franchisees to open exclusive vegetarian outlets, depending on the local consumer preference. Plus, LaPino'z cracked smaller things like its pizza base was thinner than its competitors and was freshly made multiple times a day. Plus, the way they chose to expand to different cities was the masterstroke. Most other brands focus on having outlets in different cities in order to create a brand presence. But this doesn't really work and only stretches them thin for resources. LaPino'z focused on single cities, ruling one city first with 10 to 15 outlets at least, and then changing cities, making it easier to copy-paste their playbook. This worked, and by 2022, LaPino'z had over 500 outlets with a total of 1,000 crores in revenues. See, the food industry in any country grows hand in hand with its rising disposable incomes. Roti kapda makan, right? The same is happening with India. Frequency is super important here. Indians have gone from ordering once or twice a month to ordering at least once in 2 days. Of course, you have a long way to go compared to the West, right? Where people eat out multiple times a day. Plus, these restaurants are not only competing with eateries, but also home-cooked food, right? Now, what's interesting is even though pizzas and burgers have existed for years in India, they're still massive. Burgers and sandwiches contribute to 31%, while pizza contributes to 28% in the QSR space. Now, organized QSR chains like Wow Momo, KFC and Pizza Huts of the world contribute to 54% of the overall QSR industry. And currently, there are about 18 QSR stores per million people. Now, according to studies, the top 28 Indian cities have the scope for 87% more organized QSR store additions. In short, a lot more scope for LaPino'z to expand their challenging dominance. Now, will LaPino'z grow big enough to take away major market shares from Dominos and Pizza Hut? We'll have to see. But their rise to 1,000 crores has been amazing. Alright, that was it for today. I'll see you next Thursday with a new episode of Wireframe.